Wade, thank you so much for joining me on the Salon Owners Collective podcast. Pleased to have you here.
It's my pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Well, look, let's start with this. Where are you in the world? What do you do? How did you get started? And what does business look like today?
So I am in Atlanta, Georgia. I am the CEO of Pigtails and Crewcuts. We are a children's hair salon franchise company based in Atlanta. We've got about 70 locations. I have been in the franchise business all my adult life. Started with another company, a food concept, and we sold that and ended up getting into the children's hair salon business. And my job is to kind of set the strategy for the company, excuse me, and work with franchise owners to help them be successful small business owners.
I love this for a couple of reasons, Wade. One, because you've got a very clear business proposition. It's clear who your ideal client is. It's clear what what you're here to do in life. And I love the franchise model. Never done it myself, but I love the need to systemize and process to the nth degree to be able to franchise. I think this is one of the fundamentals that so many small business owners miss. Just because we're small doesn't mean that we shouldn't be doing these things. So I'm excited to be talking to you today about all things business in the hair and beauty industry. Well, look, let's start with this, Wade. One of the challenges that I see often is the ability for an owner to get the buy-in from their team. How do we get a team to really buy into what we're here for, what we're doing every day on a daily basis, and kind of put some vision in front of them? What are your thoughts on this? I mean, this is something you would have to have nailed or at least be working on to be able to have 70 locations.
Well, I agree with you that it's the most important part of it is the image that your team presents is who you are. And whatever the customer perceives you to be is who you are. And so that point-to-point contact is how you're defined. And so to me, it starts with a clear vision from the owner or the manager or whoever's operating the business on a day in and day out basis. And I think it's almost as simple as taking the time to write down what you are. It's not just about I'm a high-end women's salon, or I'm a family salon, or I'm a kids salon. It's what is the image that you're trying to project, and defining that in some number of terms, and that becomes your business model, and that becomes who you are and what you are. But then once you have that written down and once you have that in your mind, then everything revolves around that. I think you've got to hire based on that. So when you are interviewing somebody, you have a clear definition of who you are and what you are, and a pretty clear definition of what traits you're looking for somebody who will fit into that business model. And so when you're interviewing, and I know labor is such a challenge right now in the world, but you can't really compromise on it, because you've got to have the people who are going to project your definition of what you are. And so to the best of your ability, and it will get better over time as you do it more and more, you have this definition of what you are. You have these criteria that you're looking for when you're interviewing somebody, and you apply it and you say, okay, this person works, this person doesn't fit. So it starts there. But then that becomes, all right, well, that was great. We talked about it when I hired you. How do you keep it going? How do you make sure that the team is living that every day? And I think it's through constant conversation about it. I think you start meetings with, what are the core values of our business? You have regular meetings. You're not skipping over business meetings because you don't have time for it, or there's no, everybody's not in today, so we can't have a meeting. We have regularly scheduled meetings. You talk about what the culture is, and then you talk about what business points you want to talk about. But I think every time you're talking about anything about your business, you're talking about the culture that you want to create. And we do it with a set of core values. And we've got 5 core values that we preach. And core values are, a dime a dozen. They're worth what you put the paper that you print them on, unless you're really trying to live them. And I think that defines what you are. And then your vendors, your suppliers, your employees, the person, all the way through, all the stakeholders in your business, the owners, the customers even should know what your business definition is. And so if that's the case, I think you're well ahead of the game, because you've relayed this message and you're living the message day in and day out. So I think first thing is clear definition, and then the continual communication of that message. And when things don't go according to that message, that's what you're talking about. That's what you're doing to fix your business.
Yeah. I love that I think that often is missed, because unlike yourself, a lot of business owners start as an apprentice, as a stylist, and they start from the inside and don't have the outside perspective that what they have is what they have, because you're in your own goldfish bowl. Would you, do you resonate with that? And it's not until we can step outside of our own goldfish bowl and define what it is that we have that's different to somebody else down the road that we can start to talk about what it is that we do and how that we do it and what our values are. And I think sometimes that's the hard transition. And then continuing it. It's like otherwise saying, I went to the gym the other day, I'm now fit and muscly. So, no, actually, we need to keep going back to the gym every day to keep it alive. Exactly. We can't just write our vision and pop it in a drawer and say, tick that box. That was done. So I love that message of continuation and keeping the conversation alive. I think that's the majority of where the work needs to be done, I think.
I totally agree. And I the owner of a business is not going to do every aspect of the business day in and day out. The owner is managing that business. And one of the aspects of management is you have to be the CEO, and I call the CEO the Chief Excitement Officer.
Oh, I love that.
If everybody's excited about the business and excited about the success and is pulling in the same direction, then your job is easy. Make it fun for people, but make sure everybody understands that it's work and that there's a right way and there's a wrong way. Yeah. And whatever those definitions are, that is by definition what your customers should perceive your business to be.
Yeah. That's my takeaway of the day, Chief Excitement Officer. Love that. And I like that a lot, because it gives us permission to remember that the majority of the work is to think and to speak and to have conversations, is not actually necessarily to do the work. It's to lead the people to do the work through continued conversations and continual thinking about, well, what should the vision be and what should we be doing and how we should be doing it. And I think that gets lost in small business when we get too caught up in having to do the do, and we don't have time for the conversations or for the thinking part of the business. And that's where the magic is as the Chief Excitement Officer. Would that be true, Wade?
Yeah, everybody's heard the term work on your business instead of in your business, and I agree with that. I think if you're the owner, it's your responsibility to set the direction. It's your responsibility to make sure everybody's got the buy-in. It's your responsibility to bring clients in. It's your responsibility to have the best retail products, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And if you do those things, then you'll have a successful business. And that's what drives it. And if you have a successful business, everyone will want to come work for you.
Yeah.
People love working for a successful business. They don't want to work for a place nobody comes.
That's right. People want, we forget that sometimes. People want to be working on the A team, sure. the winning team. You said something really interesting, Wade, about, it being challenging in the industry right now for recruitment. And but at the same time, we need to juggle, is anybody available to work for me versus the right person to work for me? And this is a real problem in the industry right now. What are your thoughts on, you in particular have a very clear business proposition. There's a very clear customer, and I'm assuming there's a type of person that suits to work for you and a type of person that wouldn't necessarily love. How do you juggle that balance between the right person and any person?
Well, if I had all that answer, I wouldn't be, doing what I'm doing. But it's the age old, attraction of great talent and retention of great talent. And it's worse now than it has been in my entire, 38 years of being in the franchise industry. I've never seen anything like this. And it's tough, and it's very hard. I think that it's real easy to compromise and say, I got to have a body. A pulse shows up, willing to come back the next day, kind of thing. But I would argue that the long-term result of that is not the right answer. If you're a certain type of business and you compromise and hire the wrong type of person, and we haven't seen the end of this, so I don't know if I'm right or not, but I would argue that the long-term damage that you can do to your reputation by having the wrong people is it outweighs that short-term batch of revenue that you created by having that person.
Yeah.
And I think it goes with any industry. It's in the hair industry, the salon industry, the food industry. I'd rather not have the transaction if I know that I'm doing that customer a disservice and that they're not going to come back, that they're not going to. In our industry, so much of our marketing is word of mouth. And I think it's your reputation and that customer support, that client support. If you damage that by having somebody who doesn't fit your model, I don't know when you get over that. It's hard to get somebody back. It's easier to retain clients than attract clients. And if you lose them, you've made a big mistake.
Yeah. I would agree. I think, Wade, this approach is the must approach in just live through the gap rather than patch it up, because even though you're solving today's problem, you're actually creating a tomorrow problem. And so you're better to hold in the gap, I think, and just hold still, and be prepared and ready for tomorrow when the right person comes. Yeah, I think you're right. Yeah.
I think it's easier to tell a customer, I'm sorry, we don't have a slot available for you today because I don't have enough people, than it is to say, I'm sorry that we butchered your service and, trust me.
Please come back.
Please come back. Exactly.
Yeah. No, I think you're absolutely right. Talking about the marketplace, tell me your thoughts on standing out in the marketplace, this industry in particular. There are a lot of businesses in a lot of locations. How does the brand stand out and, speaks directly to the client when there's a lot of choice? What's been successful for you and your brand?
Excuse me. When I got started looking at the salon business, Pigtails and Crewcuts in particular, I did not have any concept that the hair business was as big as it is. I had no idea. And I started driving around. I was like, well, there's a hair salon. Oh, look, there's a hair salon. Oh, look, 2 doors down, there's a hair salon. And I thought, oh my goodness, there's something going on here. And so you're right. I think it is a crowded industry. It is a saturated industry because the barriers to entry are relatively low. But I think it starts the way you separate yourself from the competition is it kind of goes back to what I was just talking about creating the culture. I think it really, begins with a definition of what you're going to be. Ours was pretty straightforward. We knew we were going to be the preeminent kids hair salon concept in the US. And that's what we've set out to do. And we don't lose focus and go, okay, well, we're going to go do this and we're going to sell tires because we're low on sales or whatever. We're focused on our business and our model, and it's clearly defined. And so I think that it starts with that. And then the message. What is the message that you're putting out there? What is the marketing message? Is it we're the best, or we're convenient, or we're fast, or we do a pretty good job and we're pretty fast? And there's places for all of those types of business, but you got to define what it is. Are we a men's salon? Are we a women's salon? Are we high end? Or are we kind of run of the mill? Not that that's a negative, that just, it's kind of a definition.
There's a market there.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I think all of your marketing materials are geared towards that definition. And you just keep saying it over and over and over and over. It may be through search engine optimization. It may be through video is huge for us right now. And it doesn't have to be polished, fine video. It could be highlighting a staff member, or it could be, hey, look how fun we are for your children. Or, gosh, we know that there are children out there who really, really don't like haircuts. And, we're here for that. If you've got a child with needs, with certain needs, that doesn't like getting his haircut or her haircut, we're here for you. So it's that message over and over and over throughout all of your marketing messages. That's kind of the same thing. And I think, who we are, what we're doing. And it's all geared towards attracting new customers, retaining existing customers, making sure they come back, and then generating more revenue with every transaction, and building your brand. Those are our 4 marketing goals that we focus all our energies on, and everything is geared towards that. But it's all the same message. It's we are the preeminent place for children's haircuts. And I think it has to be, I think if I was operating a shoe store, it would be, this is the best place to buy shoes. And it's the same message. You say it over and over and over and over. So that's, and how you're doing that, I can tell you, I started this 17 years ago, and the way we marketed then versus the way we market now, I mean, it's like Star Trek versus Gunsmoke. It's 2 completely different things, and it changes daily how we're communicating our message to our customer. But the message is the same.
I want to pick up on that because you said it several times. Repetition. We decide who we are. We're super clear who we are. We're not afraid to say who we're not for. No. And then you get out there and you repeat it on multiple platforms. And while once upon a time it might have been the newspaper, but now it's the socials. But it doesn't matter how you do it, video, image, post, SEO, all of the things. The message is the same, and it's about repetition. And it makes me think actually of the TV model, which I'm sure has been through multiple changes in itself. But one of the strong things about advertising on TV is about number of eyeballs. It's the same digitally, and how many times you can get your message across to that. It's about volume of message. So it's repetition. So it's volume of humans that can see your brand, and then the repetition of the brand. And I think those 2 messages at a high level is really, I loved that you kind of said those things. I've just said it in a different way. Let's just spend a moment on that last piece you said around building the ticket, getting the ticket value up. Well, 1, we've got to get them back, but 2, over time, getting them to spend more with us. How fundamental is that to your business and any other salon business?
I think it is a portion of our business. So we do obviously a lot of haircuts, and that's first and foremost. But add-ons are great for us. We have retail items that are children specific. We have products that are geared towards children's needs with hair care and otherwise. We also have some kind of general retail items. And so it is an important part of us because it adds valuable revenue to the top line. And if you have it priced right and your markup is appropriate, it can add very valuable bottom line type stuff. And so it's an important part. We're not a hard seller of retail. It's not our way because it's moms and children and we want them to buy things that they want and that they think are appropriate. But if a child comes in and has cradle cap, a real young child, you know, we need to talk to that parent about, hey, we've got a product here that can help you with that. And so you educate your staff. It's part of the ongoing monthly, bi-weekly, whatever meetings you set. And you talk about, okay, this is what we're trying to sell. This is the benefit of this product. This is why you would want to sell it. You know, I'm not talking about, you know, shove it down somebody's throat, but it's an opportunity for us to generate more revenue every time somebody comes in the door. So that's one. I mean, I know in a lot of salons, the retail aspect of it, the product aspect of it is a very, very important part. And, you know, I think pricing it right, buying it right, is a great benefit to us.
Yeah, for sure. I like that the leading message or intent is support the client, make the client's life better. If you've got cradle cap that's not a nice experience, let's fix it for you. And it's equally a business objective as well as a serving our people business. I think that's a great approach in terms of engaging team in any case.
Right.
Yeah.
I think people like to view their hair professional as not terribly dissimilar, at least in our industry, in the children's aspect, not dissimilarly from their pediatrician. And I know the pediatrician's a doctor, I'm not comparing that to, but I do believe people trust that relationship and they want to build that relationship and nurture that relationship. And if you're helping people, you know, get through things, make their children better, everybody wants the best for their children. So certainly in our industry, you know, it's a believable source. Yeah,
for sure. Tell me a little bit about, just going off script here a little bit about managing 70 locations. What changes in dynamic of having multiple locations versus singular ownership in your mind?
Well, got a little bit of a understanding. First of all, I have 2 salons myself that we operate as company salons. And they're great for us because they're training places for our franchisees. They are places to test new products, new services, you know, just improve the way we're doing business. So my job is really to help support our franchisees. And so these are 70 business owners, although it's not really 70 because a lot of people own multiple locations, but our job is to support and make successful, help be successful our franchisees. So we teach them everything that we know from how to operate a small business. And I think it applies to a salon business or my previous business, which was a food business, or, you know, a car repair business. You know, what are the components from a business management perspective that go into making that business successful? And I think it transcends all industries. And so that's what we do, is we try to help people, because people come to us and they want to own a business. And they've decided that they believe in us, they believe in our concept, and they think they can be successful at this. So it's our job to help them be successful. And that's to teach them the components of running a small business, how to generate revenue, how to market yourself, how to manage labor, how to attract and retain labor, sort of to the best of our ability in today's world. But, you know, how to account, how to be a financial manager, all of the components that go into running small business, that's the franchise model. That's what we do. And that's what we teach, and that's what we continually try to improve the way we do and bring new tools and tips and techniques and train our franchisees.
Yeah, I love it. Wade, being a business owner yourself, in multiple ways, almost being a franchise owner, you're in the franchise business, you're in the salon business, you support business owners. What would be a quote, a mantra, or something that keeps you super focused and forward driven? What's something you can share with us?
There's a great line from, excuse me, from Henry Ford. I'm sure a lot of people have heard it, but it goes, whether you believe you can or believe you can't, you will. And I think I love it, because it's kind of the way you got to wake up every morning. You're going to believe you can, because if you do, you will. It may be hard, it may be bumpy, it may be challenging, but if you're pretty sure you're not going to make it, you won't. So
yeah, I love that, and I believe that so very much. It really, I was thinking about this just yesterday, actually. We shouldn't believe everything that we believe. There's something to bend your mind around. It's like, we don't need to always believe everything that we believe, because sometimes the things that we believe hold us back, and we actually have the ability to change the things that we believe to serve us better.
Yeah, I agree. If you're believing in the dark things in your life, you gotta stop. You gotta push those thoughts away, because they'll eventually get you into the dark places.
Yeah,
it's kind of like when you wake up at 4 o'clock in the morning. Nothing is as bad as it seems at 4 a.m. when you cancel.
That's right.
You gotta stop thinking about that, whatever it is.
Yeah, it's not always real. And I was having this thought, Wade, when I was thinking about my teenagers, and when you're young, you don't know all of the things yet, and I was trying to convince my son that he, just what he believed today isn't necessarily the way that it is in the world. But I thought this is really relevant to business too. Just because we believe that we can, or we believe that we can't, doesn't mean that that's necessarily true. It's just what we believe, and we have the power to change it. So I love that for sure. What is a book, a resource, a podcast, or something that you've read recently you think all business owners, salon owners should get their hands on?
There is a gentleman named Dennis Snow who wrote a book. He was a Disney executive for a long time. And I think, Disney has been a great model of customer service. And it's such a well-respected company that this guy, Dennis Snow, worked for, had jobs from summer jobs on up in the Disney business. And he wrote a book called Lessons from the Mouse. And after he left, and now he's on the speaker circuit, and he's published this book, and he's published a couple of books. But the one I really love is a book called Lessons from the Mouse by Dennis Snow. And the reason I love it is it's all about customer service. It's the Disney model of customer service. And it's a real simple little book. It's, a handful of chapters that cite things that Disney does well and why they do them and why they made those decisions and what that image is. And it's all about how they empowered their employees to make decisions but those decisions were all pointed in the right direction, and how they trained them. And it's just a great book. We give it to all our franchisees when they come to training. He has spoken to our franchisees at a conference. It's a really cool book. And I think if you haven't read it, I think people really who own a small business and they're we're all in the customer business, right? Whatever our business is, we got to have customers. It talks a lot about how to create that Disney-esque customer service, level of customer service. I think it's great.
I will track it down and put the link to that book in the show notes of this episode.
Oh, good.
So thank you for that recommendation. That's amazing. Wade, I know people are going to want to find you, stalk you, and see what your brand is all about. Will you give us your socials and your dub? Where can we find you?
Yeah, I'm not a huge social guy. It's Facebook, it's email, it's our website, pigtailsandcrewcuts.com. I'm out there. You can find me. Would love to hear from anybody.
Amazing. I appreciate your time today, Wade.
I appreciate you having me. It was great to talk to you. Thank you so much.